Patients also often have questions about safety. So what are the risks of clinical trial participation?
Yeah, so safety is a major issue, especially more in the phase one, where we may not know what the phase one trials, if you remember, are the trials where we're dose escalating, meaning we start off with a small cohort of patients, maybe 3 to 5 patients, and we give one dose of the drug. We see if it's safe. If it's safe, then we go to the next dosing level, and we just keep going until we find a dose that may be too toxic or too unsafe for our patients. So in the phase one, we have less information, especially in the first in human drugs, and so that's. But in those cases, we are watching you carefully, so to make sure that nothing bad happens to you. But the problem with those trials, it requires a lot of time at the institution or with your doctor. And the reason for that, for example, I'm doing a bispecific trial where we have to keep the patients inside the hospital for 8 days, purely for safety reasons. They're not getting the drug for all 8 days, but we're just keeping them under observation. So in case anything bad happens, we're ready to react, because we know that if something bad happens at their home in that first 8 days, it could actually risk their lives. And so in those cases, some trials, if we're concerned about safety, you'll be spending more time in the doctor's office or in a hospital being evaluated. So that's the one negative. But sometimes the trials that can be more exhausting as far as the amount of time it takes you away from your home and family are the ones that have the most reward.
What protocols are in place to protect patients?
Yeah, so the patients are always, so when they sign up for a protocol, we are instructed to give them our best information. So let's say it's a first in human drug. Well, usually first in human drugs are tested in other mammals, such as monkeys, and we look for toxicities there, and we have signs of what's going to happen. Sometimes a first in human drug is part of a class of drugs. Like I said, talked to you about T-cell bispecifics. Well, there's several T-cell bispecifics out there, and we've learned that this class of drugs has a unique set of side effects that they all tend to have. Some have it more and some have it less. But when we're discussing this with you or the patient, we are actually going to go through each and all of these side effects. Now, me personally, my patients that go on my trials, they all get my cell phone number. So they have 24/7 access to me, because I know they're taking a risk, and it's a lot of courage to go on these trials, and it's scary. And I want to make sure they don't feel like they're ever alone.
Another common concern we hear is that a clinical trial is only considered when there are no other treatment options available for a patient. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, there's a lot of my colleagues in the field that feel that way. And I know a lot of patients' misconceptions are also that way. And it's partly because of Hollywood and movies and TV shows that we watch. But I think that many people, and especially in the medical field, think of clinical trials as the last resort. And I actually disagree with that. I think that I like to actually start my patients with 1 or 2 standard of care treatments, but after that, really start putting clinical trials in between. And we have to remember that there's not always a clinical trial available that the patient actually meets the criteria for. So it's always disheartening in clinic when I meet someone for the very first time who was referred to me because they exhausted everything, and we just don't have any clinical trials available, or they're so weak from the cancer and all the prior treatments that they don't qualify for a clinical trial. And then I really don't have anything else to give them. So my personal approach is to try to put clinical trials in between and always have something in my back pocket, so that if they get a bit exhausted or they just they want to spend more time with friends and family, they can get the standard of care treatment.